of the BR6 in stage 1, except for one, and that was banned by their opponent, so it didn't really matter in the end, I guess. Now, they did play it just the once, which I believe the guys on the desk touched on, but that was a really poor showing against Liquid in the Copa Elite 6.
Well, not a surprise. Bans will come in very first match of the day. I'm so excited, and what a surprise, or lack thereof. Thatcher is going to be banned. I mean, this is just a default ban for the world currently. Super strong attacking operator. Not a surprise to see it gone. I'll be interested to see what Cloud9 do in response. Will it be a target ban? And I think it is. A lot of people don't like going up against Yana mains. You've got the frags, a good weapon, got that Gemini to work with. What do you think about that one, James?
Yeah, well, it's funny. Yana is not a staple ban, right? Like, she's a powerful operator, but we have seen Cloud9 do it before. It was actually in the Korean Open against a team called Star Rise. Now, the funny thing with Yana that I love, and I know you're like me, Jess, you're super nerdy about the game. So the fact that Yana is one of the few operators that has 3 explosives. She's got 2 grenades plus that Gon 6. She rivals Ashe and Kali as the only other 2 ups that really have that much util clearing utility.
Well, there you go. Bans are done. Malusi off the board. None of those annoying wub banshees will be in the way of the attackers, which will be Cloud9 to start off on this first half. Biggest thing for me here with Team 1 starting on defense, and that seemingly being their better half. Mind you, a lot of teams are defensive-sided for the most part around the world. So if you're wondering why Team 1 might get off to a good start, it could just be sided. But I tell you what, Cloud9, if they win a lot of their attacking rounds, that will bode so well for the second half. Operators are in. Nothing out of the ordinary here. Biggest thing that is a worry, I think, for C9 will be the Kaid. There is no Thatcher on board. They are not bringing an IQ because it's not a very popular operator in APAC North, unfortunately. And so they're going to have to deal with that probably vertically.
Yeah, definitely we'll see. And of course, that big X factor is the 6th pick from Lagonis onto the Clash. Now, not something we see every day. It's finally an operator that we've seen Cloud9 use quite a lot of. Yeah. But let's see how can they deal going against it. I wonder, is this going to be kind of like a top main stairs play for the Clash? Usually you do have one specific avenue that you like to have as the frontier for that op.
You know, I don't mind where the Clash goes, and because it's such a mobile operator, okay, not the fastest operator in the world, you can move it over towards red stairs if the push changes from the attackers. It does look like the consistent shield placement, those ADS placements will be for main stairs, but I do know that there are some teams that will rotate a lot of their utility towards red if the push changes. Look at all the drones from C9, however, they are all spawning out towards a bedroom push. I think this will be a red push. They might change it around if they see a little bit of resistance, but there's none there at the moment, James.
Yeah, mostly a steady spawn for Cloud9 as Static starts to make his way around. Of course, Cloud9 kind of coming into this invitational off the back of what was a fantastic season in APAC North. They went flawless. They won every single game, didn't even let them go overtime. Really, the pure definition of flawless. But then they went into that stage championship game as the best team in APAC North to take on Elevate from APAC South. And they actually lost that, which was really a surprise to a lot of people. And this is the redemption opportunity for them. And also, Jess, this is the first time we're seeing teams play internationally across regions in forever. Hello, is that ACell?
Hello? Oh my God, we love to see it. I have seen Ace Charges, Selmas used in 100 different ways to get Kaided hatches, etc. But that one's to get it. It's a rush on the main stairs here, Dev. They desperately want it, and they're going to get it. Opening kill of the Six Invitational. It's Static, the Ashe main, and he'll take out KDS, who I believe is also a fragger from Team 1. They're down tremendously, Dev. Wow, you can tell I have a different duo usually.
I'm going to for it later, Jeff. What a great start there for C9. But at least Team 1, the Brazilians, they start to bite back a little bit. Levy took down that hard breacher from C9. Nova will sit back. He's been a highlight player from the season, but we're really looking at Alamo now. He's the guy that Ace was hyping up on the desk. He is this impact player for T1, or rather Team 1. And let's see if he can do some damage in this aggressive position.
Look at Envy. He's one of the star players from Cloud9, but Nesk has his number on speed dial. But no, Envy says, get out of here. I have the better shot, and the smooth moves. He'll take him down, and that is a good couple of picks here for C9. But they've got a full 60 seconds to play with here. And my problem with this, Dev, they've got a Clash. I don't know if they have any more concussions to play with. Let me have a look over. No, they're all gone. So it's going to have to be a really intense frag fest on the rest of the players. That diffuser goes down, and it's a bit of a shame because with 45 25 seconds left, they could slow things down and collect themselves.
Such a tough position to be in. Air jab through the drone hole, really ineffective, all things considered. Oh, Shyle is so low on HP and taken down. This is falling apart for the Koreans as Team One can bunker down in that site, really embodying the definition of siege. And Harper's taken out as well. Alamo gets that pick, looking for the final one. How low? That's an air jab. And MV Taylor uses that to find the pick. A C4 around the corner finishes off what was left of Shyle, but now it's Envy, and he doesn't last much longer. Team One find the opening round.
There you go. It looked like it was going to be a Cloud9 round one, but that's what happens when you stay cool, calm, and collected. When you get to a LAN environment, you know, you've got all the vibes, you're hyped up, everyone is all on their feelings, Dev, and I think that that can make players a little bit over-aggressive. They want to make hero plays, they want to try and get on that hype that they're feeling. I'm glad to see that Team One didn't overextend unnecessarily. That's what the clash is there for. Let them get the intel, let them push back those attackers, and they lost main stairs in a really big flurry, so that would have worried them. But I'm going to say that the mentality is strong here for Team One and for Cloud9. That's not a story that they want to continue.
Certainly a good moment for Team One, considering that, you know, they are, of course, going up against Cloud9, who is the what appears to be at the moment the second best team in all of APAC. And Team One has had a pretty rough slog through the Brazilian Rainbow Six scene. In fact, a fun little note here is that Team One, this roster of Team One, is not the same Team One roster that actually qualified for the Six Invitational.
Whoa, slow down. Go back. Explain this.
So, you know, in 2020, right, you had all the Brazilian scene, right, and there was a little bit of a shuffle that happened at the start of 2021, and the former Team One roster went over to MIBR, the former MIBR roster went over to FaZe, the former FaZe roster disbanded, and so we've got Team One, this org, who's got, you know, a massive spot in this massive BR6 league, plus a Six Invitational, and then they pick up a team of kind of like stragglers of players. We certainly are, and, you know, it's been a hot minute, but we are back in round two, of course, is where we do resume. Cloud9 did lose that first attack round. It was a good showing overall from Team One. Well, it's funny because we really hyped up Cloud9 at the start of that round because they had such a cool and explosive take at the top of main stairs. But then just sitting back patiently on site, utilizing that clash in vaults, Team One stormed through. And it was, I believe, Levy who found 4 kills in the round as well.
Well, unfortunately, because we did have that rehost, you won't see it on the scoreboard, but we will at the end of this game. The analysts will be able to break down the match summary for you so you know what happened in total. Hopefully we get no more breaks because we want the momentum to be absolutely flowing. Speaking of momentum, they win Aviator, they can't go back there, so they decide to go over to Trophy and Statue, and as a result, it definitely looks like they're going to do an underneath hold with at least one C4. Maybe they'll have Lagonis go downstairs as well, but I wouldn't be surprised if he does try and sort of maybe get some electric claws in some key positions for the triple wall. Overall, I'm going to take this back, James. I'm a little surprised. Is that a downstairs extension and a study extension? They are very well ripping themselves across almost the entire map.
Question is, at what point are you biting off more than you can chew? Really, I love the ambition though, but you know, the fact is things may slip through the cracks, and the first thing to have done so is that drone from Cloud9 all the way in bar, right next to KDS. Now, it really comes down to Cloud9. You talked a lot about working on the fly, about adapting. This is really what I think is going to be tested right now for C9 because Team One is so separated, so spread out. They've got an ambitious hold, and Cloud9 have the info. It's up to them to call where they want to push.
Well, looks like Study will be the ingress for their attack. Envy had a really good opening kill, and he'll be trying to repeat that yet again. And that's why it's circling around this study area, circling around the games and Aviator area, which was the site last round, looks to be their favorited kind of push, even though sort of last time their study push wasn't the best. They decided to go towards main stairs. Yes, that worked out for them. But the problem is now, how much of their utility are they going to burn on this side before what Team One? They just let it go back to site, maybe play some vertical C4s. Neskin, he's going to run away. So is KDS. This is what I was afraid of. A lot of utility burnt over towards study, and no kills to be able to be seen as a result.
Well, Cloud9 are thorough, you can give them that, but of course, It is a concern. If later in the round, like you mentioned the vertical C4s, you mentioned the fact that Team One have really not sacrificed much except for that map control, whereas Cloud9 have already sacrificed, a smoke grenade and all kinds of utility. And of course, half the round, minute 30 left. We need to really see them get move on, get on their bike and start to make some kind of progress here, because it doesn't even look like there's any pressure from the master balcony. This is a very one-sided push from C9.
In fact, there's someone at the bottom of red as well. If he just put on his Inox, I'm sure he might be able to spot out a couple of those feet. Instead, he's going to check his drone, which I'm sure was watching. Alame, he's going to catch Charles, who was peeking out over that terrace window. And that's an angle a lot of people will toss grenades from. But in this time, it's going to be the SMG-11 snipes the head straight off of Charles. Good pick. That is the Zofia route. And that means now they're going to be down a very important weapon.
Cloud9 looking lost. Harper's rotated onto the master balcony. 40 seconds remain. There is so much control still here for Team One. So many players difficult to dislodge. What is the progress from C9? They need to start taking something more away from Team One and starting to set up for and execute. But there's another pick for the Brazilians. And Cloud9 is looking lost.
Lost they are, and with 15 seconds left, Dev, I worry if C9 cannot pull off an old team vitality push where they rush on the side and make it work, things will look dire. Surely this is a second round, but as the player begins to go down, it's all on the back of Static. He has to cover, he has to catch it, but it's going to be a double C4 from Neskin, who caught a beautiful shot over in bedroom, finishing it off with the double C4, and that hold looked way too easy for Team One. We were talking about testing Cloud9. Well, Cloud9, they're not even testing Team One.
That's for damn sure. And you look at the Team One guys, it looks like another day in the office. Smiles all around, bit of dancing, if you can call it that. Cloud9, not so much. Very stern expressions. MV Taylor right there, man of the hour. Man, we usually look to step up here for C9, but he is not really providing much to the team at the moment. I mean, you don't want to put it all on one player. I think as a whole, it's just Cloud9 looks slow.
They look slow, they look indecisive. Other than the early round, they look really indecisive as to what they want to do. The moment they had study control, they used a couple of bits of their utility, I was really confident. I was like, okay, they clearly know what they want to do, what they want to achieve. Maybe someone will rotate over to the bedroom balcony and provide some pressure there, and then they'll go for either a trophy or a statue player. Then they kind of just, it looked like they were hoping Team One would peak them, which is strange because, I mean, a team that, how Team One played in round number one, that's showing that they would rather play passive than aggressive. So you've got to conform to and adapt to that play style. Adaptation being questioned here from Cloud9. Speaking of, do they have what they need to be able to get a vertical push? Static's the only one with breaching charges in hand. They don't have a sledge, they don't have a buff. So a lot of this is going to come down to them. Maybe they're doing just a horizontal push through, the library. Maybe they'll go through laundry. Maybe if they do take top, it's all on Static.
Yeah, well, you could try and use that Jackal shotgun, but honestly, I hate it. Like, that is so frustrating. If you are ever trying to make some vertical holes with that, it's just good luck, mate. You're going to spend twice as much time and the holes are going to be tiny and you're going to spend just as much time reloading anyway. We'll see where it gets to. For now, it is actually, it's a bit of a split take. Cloud9 do have some presence downstairs as Shah steps in the building.
Looks like Static and his, I guess, counter teammate. This is where I expected them to push in through library, take this push across, and then try and get a little bit of control and get some crossfires over towards China, maybe Memorial. Next will be the one to hold out on this one. And as Charles starts to open everything up, Nesk knows he has to challenge on this. The Vector's a great gun to shred through, particular teammates, or rather opponents, not teammates, I'm hoping. The trouble will be is that he has to be extraordinarily accurate with it. Hatch is open, he can drop below. And now they've missed out on another kill. And I don't want to say that C9 is lacking intel because it does look like they're initially droning, but they're not acting on the intel that they're getting, James. And that's a problem. They're a little bit too late, 2 seconds too late, almost always.
Cloud9 are a little bit scared. And Team One didn't know exactly what they need to do. Passive when they need to be. When will we see this first engagement? Charles taking control of Living. Oh, lovely gas babe there. As Alamo starts to push back these attackers. Charles taking some good ground pre-fire. There you go. KDS goes down. That's the first pick for Cloud9. In fact, I believe the first time they have found a critical opening and still untraded as well. Cloud9 looking to ingress here upstairs.
Alamo, he just seems like he wants to hold top floor no matter what. They're up to about 60 seconds, and a lot of players will drop down to site after they've reached about the halfway mark. They don't seem to care about that at all. The ping from Envy comes out, but Levy's the one who was able to leverage that one. And with 50 seconds left, I said last time, hold your horses. You can collect yourself. Static? Hello?
Oh, no. Oh, Alamo is just doing everything he needs to at the minute as Harper is in a 1v2 to clutch. Time left, 40 seconds. Not so bad. He has a moment to breathe, but not with Alamo upstairs. What an angle from Trophy down into Sheets, and he picks apart Cloud9 with 3 picks. And that's 3 rounds now for Team 1.
I have no idea how they were not able to displace Alamo, and I'm gonna keep trying to pronounce his name incorrectly. You gotta get my pronunciation right with the accent. Go ahead, James. How am I meant to pronounce it again?
So
Alamo.
I chatted to Alamo. It's like
Alamo.
It's not like Alamo. It's like Alamo. You know?
You sound like Hermione from Harry Potter all of a sudden.
It's Leviosa.
My apologies. Look, Alamo is how I'm going to go with it with my accent. Look, Alamo, how he is not displaced when he only has an SMG-11 in hand for the predominant amount of that round. He didn't even shotgun out over towards Wolf or Connector or whatever you want to call it. So for me, I do question what C9's whole purpose of pushing over through library and then having that top floor control. They didn't really ever have it. And then players were just sporadically trying to run through Memorial. A couple of questions here. I will use the word lost again. Cloud9 still look lost from the mid to late round. That's where things are looking really sketchy for them. Early round does look good, so I'm surprised that it's not flowing on with momentum.
It's a bit slow, a bit scared, not the Cloud9 that we're used to seeing. But for Team 1, they're loving this. They're having such a good time at the moment, and it's great. It just looks like you've got 2 teams, one with absolutely no weight on their shoulders. They are just sprinting, and you've got Cloud9 with all this baggage. And they're really struggling to drag it alongside, and as a result, they're dragging their feet. But surely they'll be able to deal with this and at least get a couple of attack rounds on the board. Jess, you already mentioned that Cloud9 tend to prosper a bit better on their defense, so we don't want to count them out yet, right? But you've got to get some attacks, right? At the moment, these rounds have not looked close. And if Cloud9 keeps playing the way they've played the last 3 rounds, this could be a 6-0 half. So we need to see them start working on the situation and getting better.
Well, Envy, he somehow feels that after the first round, where he did quite well for his team, got that entry, things have not really been working for him so far. So he's brought out the Blackbeard. It packs a punch, but it has been nerfed recently, so you can't really say it packs the same punch that it used to by any means. That shield breaks almost instantaneously, so he's going to have to hit his shots. And hit his shots, Envy Taylor is known for doing. Biggest thing for me is here for C9 is that they just don't need to let that weigh on them. A lot of teams might tilt when they're not winning the rounds or playing the rounds they're meant to. The blame game starts in the background. Things we can't hear, things that are happening off screen right now could really be affecting their gameplay. But C9 is known for being a team that can come back in the second half. So I know for a fact that if they do happen to, reset themselves come the second half, maybe we'll see a different ending here to this particular matchup. Team 1, though, looking absolutely sharp.
Such a good setup as well here for Team 1. Stronghold of Red Stairs. A stronghold here from inside of sight. And of course the pressure at 90, so much utility as well. Should Cloud9 try and clear that shield, it'll be so difficult because of the ADSs and the Wamai magnets. Now, Envy Taylor, surely his intention is to start pushing up these stairs. The barrage of flashbangs, but Envy Taylor's concussed. And there's a player just around the corner. Neskin could be the linchpin here for Team 1. Envy Taylor goes up the stairs, loses the fight, and from the backside, Neskin is there. And once again, Cloud9 fall to pieces as Harper tries to pick up what's left, and that diffuser. KDS falls back as Team 1 forfeit 90 control, but they've got so much still remaining.
A 4v2, that's exactly where you want to be. When you've got about 45 seconds left on the clock, you can do what you did last time you held this site. Just hold angles, don't have to overextend. You've done your damage. Big thing we need to note as well, James, and I'll break it down at the end of this round, they changed their entire setup. C9 couldn't have countered this because it was completely different to round number 1. And now they still have smoke babes to play with. You can see Laganus, he's trying to count down and use them to be able to full effect the counter as it exists. 20 seconds, and they know someone's roaming. They're looking left, right, and center. They have no idea what's going on. They're looking lost again, and I tell you what, not a single map in the world could find them the destination or the journey that they're hoping to go on, because this is a round lost for C9. Oh my goodness. What I'm hearing in my ear is the magic words. It is a timeout for Cloud9. That's what they need, James.
I'm not sure whether Cloud9 need a tactical timeout to go and speak to their coach, or whether they need a naughty corner timeout to go and this what they've done. Because mate, that was just... It's not been looking great so far. This is not the Cloud9 that we've seen all season. They are getting manhandled by Team 1. This is such a fantastic moment for the Brazilians. And it just looks like they're chilling out. And quite the opposite now for Cloud9. They need to chill. And I don't know if they need to chill out or if they need to get hyped. I think it's actually that they need to start getting some more energy into the just look at them, so stationary. Of course, you're talking about very serious stuff here, but they really just need to lighten up and start to get moving.
I did sort of allude to in the last 30 seconds of that round that Team 1 had rightfully changed their setup from a main stairs setup to a red stairs setup. Now, this isn't revolutionary in any way, shape, or form, right? This is just them changing which side of the map they're holding because they expect the other team to counter them and go the other side. Simple stuff. My big thing, however, is that once they knew it was a red stairs push, they were soaking a bunch of those flashes into it, etc., and then no one pushed KDS. And then by the time they did, it was a Blackbeard solo pushing mid, bottom red. There was a player in Piano who was pushed after he had an opportunity to flick from red stairs over towards Piano, and then he had an opportunity to reload. Where are the trades? Where is the coordination? Where is the pinch push? Because I'm not seeing it. After round 1, it's like they'd used all their coordination up.
Sometimes it is a game of narrow margins as well, because you talk about a push like that when they're trying to attack the red stairs. It's such a difficult position to try and ingress on, right? And Cloud9, they have all these different players trying to do their best to push onto it. Like you mentioned, a player coming up red stairs. There was a player at the top of red stairs trying to push it, and of course a player in Piano. But I think it was just the subtle timings, right, of the disconnect between those players. It wasn't that they didn't have the right overarching idea. It was just the execution was just not there.
Absolutely. Well, you saw the scoreboard there, and Alamo, who is one of the highest rated players, at least in the regular season, not speaking too much about Copper Elite here, but in the regular Stage 1 Brasileiro season, he was the highest rated in his team by far. He had a 1.23 rating. In today's matchup, he's stepping up yet again. I've been a big fan of his for quite a while, his content, etc. So for me personally, I'm really excited that he's having a really good game so far, especially when you're a support player. I mean, he's got the Brude-esque vibe for me, and I love that about support players.
Yeah, certainly been on fire today, and like you said, on fire in the season. It was 4th highest overall as well for the whole league, and that's, including your players like Palu and all these insane fraggers that you've got in Brazil. Alamo, lone support player, 4th best overall in the league, and look at this. Oh. Go for a bullet hole spawn peek in a barricade. Thinks better of it after 10 seconds of waiting for a hot head to pop up.
A bomb has been located.
Come on, Cloud9. 2 rounds left to at least get an attack win. At the minute, I don't think it's looking possible because Cloud9 just they're not playing like themselves. Team 1 are looking so good.
Oh, that was a missed opportunity there for KDS. I'm not saying he should have been able to know exactly where he was standing behind the barricade, but a few little shots of the carbine might have netted himself a DB&O. And they'll walk away none the wiser. And as a result now, Team 1, their passiveness, it sort of grows in them as the round goes on, you know what I mean? They start off a little bit aggressive here. You can see the peak over towards Bicycle. And then once they get a couple of picks themselves, they go, okay, we've done our job. The damage is done. Let's go to our passive aggressiveness that we're known for doing, of just sitting on site and holding really good angles, really good crossfires. This is something that Cloud9 hasn't done on attack, and that's why we're seeing so much success here from Team 1. MV Taylor, I said that the APAC North region doesn't like to bring IQ a lot. Well, they've been struggling with all of the intel that Team One has had. There's a Valkyrie on side here for Levy again, so they've had to bring in that IQ to deal with it. They've tried the Blackbeard, they've tried the Jackal, they've tried so many things, James. Nothing's working.
For Team One, it's pretty simple, cut and dried. Keep on keeping on. It's Cloud9 that need to make the move as they do so in through Tetris. And that's an easy tap for Neskin. MV Taylor goes down, walks straight into that line of sight. So far untraded, but Neskin is in such a terrible position. He has no escape at the moment, but Cloud9 need to push him. How many more kills can he find? There's another one. How is this allowed to happen? Shiles doing his best to try and fight back, but he's taken down as well. And my God, there is just nothing working out for the Koreans. It's all Team One, number one. There's the pick, finally, in this 1v5. But the C4 is going to close that one, and Team One have just found 5 rounds in a row.
There is a fire lit under Team One right now, and even though they are the underdog of the Latin American region, coming in the lowest rated team out of all of the Latin American teams participating in this Six Invitational, they might walk away. I don't want to cast a curse at James, but I'm going to say it out loud. They might walk away map number one of day number one of the Six Invitational with a flawless 7-0 against the best team in APAC North. That is an unbelievable statement, and if you don't understand the impact of that statement, then I thoroughly suggest you go look at the leaderboards for APAC North. You go look at the absolute domination that Cloud9 had in that region, which has grown to be a very strong region with some very good organizations. I'm telling you, you couldn't have written this story before for me.
7-0 was what Cloud9's scoreline was in that stage one. APAC North. They won every single game, never even went to overtime. Against, you mentioned it, like Fnatic, Dam1, Cloud9, Fav, Guts, all of these insane teams. They just churned through them. And they didn't continue that form into the stage champion. They lost to Elevate. And clearly, you know, they're not the best team overall in APAC, but at the moment, they really just aren't playing anywhere near their standards. You know, best team in APAC or not, this is not the Cloud9 that we have seen all season. These guys are completely rocked off of the boat. And Team One, they're just having a field day.
They're not even having to do anything extreme here, James. And by that, I mean that their strategies aren't revolutionary. They're not throwing things out there that we've never seen before. It's just seemingly that Cloud9 don't know how to deal with what I would consider to be default adaptations here. I mean, for me, they're now doing things that I don't usually expect to see of C9, almost ever. And the coordination we're used to seeing from them on attack is what makes them scary. They're a team to be feared in APAC North when you watch the regular season. So if they can bring that back a little bit, redeem themselves by getting this last attacking round, they're awesome. They've tried it 5 times now. There's, you know, better late than never, I think, and just a little bit of coordination will go a long way, I think.
For Team One, they're still continuing their march through one more defense round. Even a 5-1 here, they would call a massive victory, but the 6-0, I mean, that surely there's no crawling back from that for C9. So Team One still eager to lock this in. We already talked about this, but like this map is one of Cloud9's best maps, and it's one of Team One's most banned maps. This is not a map that we usually see them play. So they have done some insane preparation coming into this tournament, adding Villa into their map pool, really refining it, of course, likely countering Cloud9 and watching the very many VODs that Cloud9 have available on this map. So massive credit to Team One.
Unbelievable difference in the output here from C9 from, you know, the season that just ended to now, and big difference here for Team One, who also finished their stage one, didn't have the best of showing, and are now just flipping the roles between both of these teams. Big thing for me, the storyline of this round, the 6th round here, have they learned their lesson when it comes to coordination, acting on that intel that they're gathering with these drones? They know Neskin's on these stairs. Is there anyone to act on it? Is anyone over the hatch to see? Yes. They will run around it, but he is not prepared and he doesn't have a C4 to act on it. Static makes the entry, and now they're focusing on sight. This could be just what they need, but missed shots, that is not the question that needs to be answered.
Nova looking to get inside, but now we see finally Cloud9 collapse. Neskin is here, but he's the last one standing. And Shile finds the final 2 kills. Cloud9 finally find their first round in the Six Invitational.
There we go. I think the answer there, when I said there was questions and they didn't have the right answer, the answer there was to stop trying to do all these elaborate things on every side of the map. Just hit the site. If you were struggling on other sides of the map, then just go and hit the site and use the coordination that you're lacking everywhere else on site. That definitely worked for them. Those missed shots could have been ever so troublesome, but it was his job to play it. He gets it down, he gets it done. We're into the second half, and because there is not a match point staring down the barrel here for C9, they have a little bit of breathing room. But it looks like they're going to repeat the exact same 6-pick onto the clash that Team 1 did in round 1, but now it's C9 to do it on the exact same side.
Yeah, like to see it. Static is the player that always runs the clash for Cloud9. We've seen some really cool strats, in particular on Oregon. I love the way the Cloud9 play the clash on Oregon. So I'm glad that we have Cloud9 playing in their comfort zone and playing the operator that takes other teams out of their comfort zone. No one likes turning around a corner and seeing Clash's ugly mug staring you down and screaming at you like she does. It's one of the most terrifying things to happen to you.
You know what's worst? You know what's worse for Team 1? They don't have a Capital, they don't have a Zofia.
Ooh.
That's even worse. You couldn't even turn around to your team and go, yo, do you have concussions? Come here, come here. There's not even that.
Even like, you've got 3 stun grenades on the Nomad and the 3 air jabs. That's literally the only utility that will really help you against that clash. Otherwise, it's just trying to get behind her somehow or trying to knife her if you can get close. A lot easier said than done. So, yeah, maybe that is a potential weakness here for Team 1.
Well, we will see what they plan on doing. There's a sledge in hand here for Team 1, so those grenades might come in handy. And C9, well, they'll also bring the Valkyrie. Hasn't been banned, even though it's one of the most popular defensive bans in the world at the moment. It's going to be in play and give a lot of intel and opportunity like it did in this first half to Team 1. Now C9 get to utilize it. Big thing for me now is the positioning of Team 1. It doesn't look like, at least initially, they want to take that main stairs control. It looks like they want to push Bedroom across with a little bit of a pinch push over towards those study walls, get them on open, and considering there is 0 wall denial, I'm going to say that again, 0 wall denial, it is free real estate.
This is strange indeed. No wall denial. Leaves the site incredibly open and exposed, and does put Cloud9 in some awkward positions. Neskin's so patient on this long line of sight. Nova so tempted to peek that, but also needs to be careful. That's a great vertical C4 from NV Taylor up through that floor. It looks like that was in the master bedroom. No, there you go, in stat. That's the first pick, untraded as well. And Team 1, I like the ambition here. Going for a map control take while also pushing study. But at the moment, they just didn't address the fact that there's that roamer downstairs.
Well, now that that C4 has been expended, there is no more vertical trouble that they need to worry about. No more C4s below. But that's a big hit onto KDS. Levy goes down as I speak, and that's Harper from the drone hole. Really good shot there. They should be careful of their toes because we can see how dangerous that could be. But good trade. Might not be onto the exact player, but Alamo, he is able to get at least a numbers advantage, or at least trying to square the numbers away. This is something Cloud9 didn't do. They didn't get their trades off. They didn't try and square away the numbers. You could see Team 1 a try, and they're desperately trying to get those numbers back. For me, with 30 seconds left, James, they're leaving it quite late. They're going to have to frag their butts off if they want to push themselves on a match point here.
And a lot of map control. Ooh. Shots both ways. Nova finds it. Allo goes down. Neskin and Lagonis, the last players, they've got just about nothing to deal with this clash. What a hindrance. There's an ADS, and Shile just waiting on the other side. Here comes the nade. Surely that can do something. Doesn't really matter whatsoever. Static, his patience is rewarded for now as Nova takes down Lagonis. Last player left is Neskin. Shile jumps in and finds that frag, and Cloud9 starting their trek to get back into the game.
I did say they got an 80% win rate on the defensive side here, and all I can say is that that is proving true, at least for these first few rounds that we said that they desperately needed. You cannot tell me there is any player on the world that doesn't get a little bit uncomfortable staring down the barrel of match point when you're like 4 or 5 rounds in deficit. There is not a player in the world that can mentally, block that out. It is not possible. So for me right now, they need to keep up this momentum, one after the other, bring it back to a 5-5, and all of a sudden it's even Steven. It's a brand new game all of a sudden, and that's where Team One will have to answer.
Still, the pressure isn't on yet. There is still a 3-round difference between these teams, and even if Cloud9 manages a 4-2 defense half, that of course will still end in a 5-7 victory for Team One. And that's really what was afforded to the Brazilians by the fact that they had such a strong defense and the fact that they really capitalized on Cloud9's weaknesses when Cloud9 were on the attack. And Cloud9 have really set themselves up now for a difficult second half. Even if they can start to build some momentum, they really have to be relentless here. They can't even let more than 1 round go by. Even 1 round victory here for Team One, and that guarantees that Cloud9 will at least be forced to push overtime to get a win here. And with how things are panning out at the moment, I see it as almost inevitable that that's going to happen.
Oh, Harper, he's trying to give a little bit of a nasty lay down spawn peek. This is nasty. I'm so sad no one has spawned there for him to be able to collect them, because that is a beautiful line of sight that he's got there. And he would be able to camouflage in with the bed a little bit as well. So especially with the players who are rocking, not the ACOG, anything but the ACOG, there's no possibility that you see that from that distance. So I like that one. A pity we don't get any sort of rewards for that one. But for the most part now, my big question mark is 2 things. 1, Envy Taylor, highest rated player from C9, one of the big stars of the team in the APAC North region, hasn't particularly been stepping up. Does it require him to have a couple of more, good rounds to really see the momentum? Or is it just C9 as a whole? They're on defense now, things are looking good.
Deal with the players for Team One. That's an aggressive gas from Static. Watching the jump in here. This shield will likely be cleared at some point, surely. Not a lot of util to protect it. Neskin jumps in downstairs. Ooh, this is a vertical nade.
Ooh.
Like the idea here. Not happening as of yet, just slowly preparing. And it definitely is very much the vertical game here for Team One. Trying to clear off these electric claws, but Harper's doing his best to defend against it. Alamo finally gets it, pops it off, and that's the wall denial cleared.
Surely we can get some impact tricking from Harper here. They have a redundancy plan. That's why the holes are open up above the wall. Another one of those electric claws will be popped in the exact spot they need it for the left 2-hand side wall. So they will get it. No! Lagonis, didn't someone tell you, my friend, that there was another electric claw thrown on the wall? That is a wasted Selma. But when you only really need 1 line of sight open on the wall, he could probably get away with 1 more Selma. But if he doesn't hear that magnet going off that was thrown over above the wall, that will also catch the Selma. With 60 seconds left, there is probably a lot of chaotic comms going on right now. And I'm telling you right now, James, they need this wall open. Otherwise, it's just a push-through bathroom. And that's just the frag city.
Well, speaking of frags, here's Neskin throwing out one. Doesn't find anything as of yet. Not a bad position, though, for Team One, as Cloud9 have pulled back, and there's 2 players looking to ingress onto Astro. Nova sees the head for just a moment. There's good info here for Team One as they start to progress through, but 30 seconds. As we have a moment of quiet and engagement. Shile wins that. 5v4, that's the opening pick. 25 seconds left now on the clock. Team One starting to get desperate. Neskin starts to push on through. KDS goes down behind him. Nova still waiting, ready to receive on the side. Neskin goes for the pre-side. There's another one for Nova. All on Levy. Finds one on the flank, but 4 players left. There's no way this is going to be an ace clutch. Surely not. And C9 holding on. Surely not. As Levy looks for 2 more, but he can't get it. There's just no time. Cloud9 got it a bit too close for comfort by the end of it, but they lock down the rounds.
Give that man another 5 seconds, James, and he puts a clip on the Six Invitational re-roll this afternoon. I tell you that much. That was unbelievably close. You're in a 5v1, an almost flawless round if you're C9, and you start losing 1-1. I mean, I'm telling you what, the clock was the only thing against Levy right there. Ooh, that was a close one at the end. Nevertheless, these were the rounds that we said Cloud9 would have to put together. Obviously, otherwise it's a match point, but we said they would. This is where statistically they shine. They are proving that right here today. My biggest thing now, they've won the 2 top sites. You look at them statistically overall and you say, well, how well do they do on most of the sites as a whole? The top 2 sites are their favorite by far. They have never played Living a Library, not for this year at least. And when they go to Kitchen, they have a pretty good win rate of it, but it's not their favorite by far. So it is their least preferred site, I guess, if you're going through the 3 playable sites that they play.
Yeah, of course. But that's the thing, right? When Cloud9 start to pick up some momentum on their defense and win a couple rounds, every time that happens, it gives Team One an opportunity to get back into it, because Cloud9 will be forced off of the bomb site they've just won, which is, like you're saying, why they're now on Kitchen Dining.
5 seconds to insertion.
And of course, the other side of that is that Team One can also, every single time they fail an attack, they will get more information onto the way that Cloud9 are setting up. Is that a Valkyrie? Black Eye camera thrown outside. Must be, surely. Ooh, that's a cheeky one. Sate looking for an aggressive spawn peek, but nothing happening yet.
Maybe a C4 out the window. A little jump out. Oh no! The trade comes out. Levy goes down. Almost a clutch master of last round. I tell you what, getting that Nomad away is actually a huge win. Even though the Valkyrie with the C4 is gone, not having those air jabs will actually cripple Team One, where they're thinking about things like flanks, when they're thinking about, you know, top floor control. That's an early engagement, that aggression from Static. I mean, will it pay off? I guess.
I don't know about you, but if that was me, who managed to get a jump out like that and immediately traded, I'd be chucking a hashtag worth it in chat. I mean, it's always worth it in my eyes. You just, as long as you're just annoying the defense, the opponents, that's really all that matters.
Poor Nova. There's been a few C9 players who haven't spotted drones that have been around them so far. I'm not wondering whether or not they're just having some of those comms cloud the sounds that they need to be able to ascertain the positions of these drones as they do spot them out. You can see Nova was able to shoot that one before, but my big question now is Team One, did they just decide to, you know, give up on this control, this top floor control, and just go straight onto site? With the vertical control firmly in the hands of C9 at the moment, that is a very big risk.
But we've seen Team One get away with a lot this map. Let's see if the same can be said on their attack. Cloud9 do seem to be positioned very well to prevent this attempt at a rush. Flashbangs go over the top, and nade likely to follow here. Harper does bring that man advantage back for Cloud9. KDS, an entry player that we haven't quite seen step up on the scoreboard as much as, say, Alamo has. But he's in a power position at the moment. Just hoping that someone walks into his line of sight. That's a C4. Cloud9 can really just sit pretty on sight. Team One haven't taken a lot of...
What? Nova, do you have a flak jacket on, my friend? Surviving that grenade was unbelievable. There we go. That's what KDS has been waiting for. Oh, the double for the trouble. And it looked like the attackers, they were man behind, but now they are evening the scoreboard. The vertical control, I spoke about it before, James. That will be the problem. And now it's up to KDS. His accuracy has been insane, but with less than 30 seconds left, he's going to have to chase the kills.
Fuse is upstairs as well. Harper and Charlotte just got to play this right. KDS has already landed 2 nuts shots so far. 2 more needed for the clutch. QEP goes forward, but Charl is there. And Cloud9 continue this run back, starting to mount the comeback. And we are now getting incredibly close, Jess. 4-5.
This is what we wanted. We wanted to see the Cloud9 that we had been hyping up before the Invitational, during the Invitational, now that it's begun. We wanted you to see what Cloud9 is made of. And now you are seeing a little bit, just a bit of a taste of the Cloud9 that we, or myself particularly as well, since now you've moved to Oceania and APAC South. I miss you very much, Dev, by the way. I wish you would come back, but nevertheless, we are seeing Cloud9 that I know them to be. And if you haven't been watching APAC North, it's a shame because Cloud9, they are the kings of that region by far.
We talked a lot in the first half of this game about how Cloud9 looked lost and Team One were just having fun, and that storyline has very much, I don't want to say flipped on its head, because I will credit Team One, they're actually getting a lot closer on their attacks than Cloud9.
Oh, absolutely.
But, close but no cigar is still no cigar, and Cloud9 can very much mount this comeback, and I think that the more they do every single round, every single aggressive run out Valkyrie spawn peak that we see these guys pull off is an extra notch in their belt for the confidence that they need to exhibit, that we know they have exhibited in stage one, like you're saying. And I think that if they can keep that momentum, they might be able to lock this out without overtime. That would be honestly amazing.
Wow.
Have 6 straight rounds. But even if it does push overtime, I don't know whether I would start to favor Cloud9 because of the sheer fact that they were able to mount such a comeback.
I was looking through the statistics for this map as a whole in the Brazilian region and in the APAC North region. It is only slightly a defensive-sided map in the APAC North region. You go over to the Brazilian region and it is a very defensive-sided map for them, 65%. So for me, I'm wondering whether or not that plays into it a little bit. Maybe we're seeing a defensive-sided village today between both of these teams who are used to it in their regions being a bit defensive-sided. I'm happy to put it down to that. I'm happy for these players to be trying to suss out each region, understand the play styles. They've only been able to have a few scrims with teams over there since they got into their sort of protocols and their security COVID protocols that they needed to have when they got to the hotel. Everything's very strict over there at the moment. So I know for a fact they did their best with the practice that they could, but they might not be very familiar with the Latin American playstyle. And as a result, both teams are just trying to take stock of each other at the moment.
You mentioned playstyle. What's funny is these are the two teams from the two regions that often get accredited as the most aggressive regions in Rainbow Six, right? Like when the Brazilians were introduced and the Latin Americans as a whole were introduced into the Pro League circuit back in year 2, everyone was like, these guys are gunners, be careful. And they showed that because they made it to the grand final in the very first season. And it's also been a similar story here for APAC. Like everyone's like the Japanese, the Koreans, all these guys, like they're not afraid to take risks and peak. Like they are gunners and they will take every opportunity that you don't punish them for. And we're seeing that playstyle kind of clash here. I don't know if I would call this the most aggressive ever, but it's certainly exciting.
It's absolutely exciting, and I like for Team One. I definitely think that so far the scoreline is showing it, but it might not after this round. But I definitely think Team One has seemed to be the most mature team, which is surprising. We've got some big legends on the side of C9 for players who have played, for quite a long time. My biggest thing here is that they've been able to mix passive plays with aggressive plays with passive-aggressive plays. That's what's been working really well here for Team One. Shotgun in hand, that does well, but don't turn your back to Alamo. He's going to be able to get the kill, and that's a good trade that they needed. A pick onto KDS. Is it much of a loss? Well, no, because they got that control that they needed. He's the entry fragger. It is his job to put himself at the most risk. That's exactly what they'll do, and now they can start working on the walls. Interestingly enough, no team has committed to any wall denial on this side. On the other sides, yes, but on this side particularly, both teams don't seem to care if the walls get opened up, so I wonder what the redundancy plan is here for that.
At the moment, MV Taylor's playing a bit of a game of the floor is lava with the Buck Alamo downstairs. Lagonis goes for that breach, as you mentioned it, no wall denial. So that's a freebie. And as time goes on, Cloud9 are getting more and more uncomfortable on the bomb side as new avenues are opened up. Team One's got so much info as well. And it's starting to get a bit precarious for the defense, but of course Team One have to capitalize on them, and the longer that this timer whittles down, the less opportunities they're going to have for that. Here's the execute though, goes straight in. The Clash sees it, Nate goes through, that's going to get eaten up by the Wamai Magnet. Static knows what's happening here, but can he do anything about it? I'm not sure. This plan's going to get locked down as Team One are doing everything that they need. Static is solo in a 1v4 and he is shut down. Team One take match points.
We knew it was inevitable with the defensive half from Team One. All of those rounds that were just looking like they were demolishing C9, making them look like absolute rookies. and all they needed was that one attacking round to propel themselves on a match point. They will get it. Where does this put us now, ladies and gentlemen? It puts Cloud9 in 2 rounds deficit, which will require them to win in a row, and then they will have to win the 2 rounds in overtime. Not necessarily in a row, but they'll need 2 as a whole to even walk away with a win here. It is looking like the Brazilians are going to walk away with a win here, and considering you've got the best team in APAC North going up against the underdog of Latin America, this doesn't say a lot of good things about our region here, Dev, and I'm worried.
Yeah, a bit scary. The thing that really just struck me then is the fact that Team 1 just executed Cloud9. Could see it. Static sitting there on the clash with his shield in front of his face. He's like, oh yeah, I see you. You know, walking inside and planting, and I can't do anything about it. And I really do want to partly put that on Team 1's shoulders and say credit to them for finding the smoke player as the first pick of the round, because it was really that smoke that was lacking when it came to that execute. Cloud9 would have been happy to just deny that plant from afar, from a safe position, but that just wasn't an option because Team 1 found that pick, and like you said, now leaves us in a deficit here for Cloud9. 2 match points against them. Team 1 in an incredibly strong position. I'm going to say it again. The only roster at Six Invitational that didn't qualify for Six Invitational. It was the current MIBR roster when they played for this team, for Team 1, that earned enough SI points to get to SI. And these guys are showing that despite that, no one could say they don't deserve to be here.
That is the storyline I'll be walking with today. Watch out, grenade in hand. And how ironic that Harper, with magnets in hand, goes down to a grenade. That's a beautiful one. They knew someone would be challenging onto that, and they will reap the reward. And we said Cloud9, they were on the back foot. Well, oh, baby, this is not a good start to them being able to push this into overtime.
And Taylor and Shark going to have to go massive holding this map control. Slow and steady for Team 1 as the breach comes out on the wall, but the mute jammer will stop that for now at least. We have a bit of a pause, a bit of a quiet moment while Team 1 start to reassess, and MV Taylor starts to reposition, shoot some drones, hold on as long as he can. Starting to get minced up from below. He's caught between a rock and a hard place, but he tries to escape and he might get away with it. In fact, he does. At least for now, Neskin missed him on the rotate. Now, good execute from Team 1, but they didn't find the pick. They let Cloud9 get away.
Well, that initial pick onto Harper was already damaging enough, but as the great race was attempted from MV Taylor, he is so very lucky he got away. And I think for Team 1 now, they're still in such a great position with over 60 seconds left. They've been able to flush out any of the players over towards Aviator and Games, push them all back, man advantage, Nesk having the game of his life. This is all a Team 1 Brazilian win story for me right now, James. Unless C9 can throw something together here, it is looking like Team 1 have worked out the formula to winning an attacking round here on Villa, and all they need to do is replicate it here with 55 on the clock.
Was this a repel?
No.
Oh, Alamo, you cheeky little. He goes straight for the repel as Team 1 execute. Static goes for the chase, but he's punished in a 1v3 for the map. Child can't get it done. Team 1 find their first victory in the Six Invitational group stage.
And we did not put this in our predictions. I can know it for a fact. I know all of the casters' predictions, and this was not a single pick for almost anyone I had browsed over. It certainly wasn't my pick, and I can guarantee it wasn't your pick either, James. Look at them there, absolutely wrapped, and Cloud9, they'll be sitting there hanging their heads as they work out how to collect themselves for their upcoming matches. But this is a huge story for Latin America. A lot of people have said that this region will likely walk away with the win here at Six Invitational this year. So many teams representing their region. I am so incredibly excited for this team. This is an amazing story, an amazing match 1 to Six Invitational.
And a fantastic start for Latin America. The Six Invitational is well and truly underway, and we have more matches coming to you. We'll be back in just a moment.